History is full of jobs that once shaped daily life but no longer exist. Let's take a look. Ice cutter. Before freezers, people still needed a way to keep things cold, and that's where ice cutters came in. In the 1800s, these workers stepped onto frozen lakes in the middle of winter, using saws to cut out huge blocks of ice. The blocks were stored in ice houses, covered with straw to keep them cold for months. Later, they were sold to homes and businesses to chill food and drinks. It was a very risky job, as one wrong step could mean falling into icy water. But everything changed when electric refrigerators arrived in the early 1900s. Suddenly, people could make ice at home, and the ice cutter's work melted away. Log driver. Log drivers were skilled workers in the 1800s who rode logs down fast-moving rivers. Their job was to guide huge piles of timber from forests to sawmills, standing on the logs and using long poles to steer them through sharp bends and narrow paths. They worked mostly in North America, especially in places like Canada and the northern U.S. When logs jammed, they had to run across the floating wood and break the pile quickly, or risk a deadly flood of crashing logs. It was risky, wet, and straight-up chaos, but the thrill and solid pay made it worth it. Eventually, roads and railways took over, and the rivers got quiet. The logs stayed on land, and the drivers did too. Knocker-upper. Before alarm clocks were affordable and reliable, something or someone had to wake the townspeople up for work. They were the knocker-uppers. They walked around at sunrise in England and Ireland, tapping on windows with long sticks, or straight-up shooting peas through straws like a dart goblin. Factory workers, miners, shopkeepers, they all depended on these people to make it to work on time. But once alarm clocks got cheap and reliable, the job slowly disappeared. By the 1950s, you no longer needed to pay someone to interrupt your sleep. The only question is, who woke the knocker-upper up? Lamplighter. In the 1700s and 1800s, lamplighters roamed city streets every evening with a long pole and a flaming torch, igniting oil or gas lamps one by one. Then, before sunrise, they returned to extinguish them. This nightly routine chased away darkness and crime, guiding travelers home and making the streets safer. It was tiring, often freezing work, as they had to climb tall poles on icy nights. Then, in the late 19th century, electric streetlights began to glow automatically. The lamps no longer needed a human hand. And by the early 20th century, electricity had taken over completely. Milkman. Before refrigerators were common, milk couldn't stay fresh for long. That's why, starting in the 1850s, the milkman became a daily part of life. Every morning, he delivered fresh milk in glass bottles, straight to your door, no delivery fee. Some houses even had metal boxes to keep it cool a little longer. You'd leave your empty bottles outside, and the milkman would replace them with full ones. It was a simple but important routine. But once fridges took over and supermarkets became the normal, the milkman slowly vanished. By the 1990s, most were gone, along with the clink of bottles at sunrise. Switchboard operator. In the early 1900s, making a phone call wasn't simple. You couldn't just dial a number. You had to speak to someone else first. That someone was the switchboard operator, usually a woman. She sat in a large phone room, wearing a headset and plugging wires into blinking holes on a board. Her job was to connect your call to the right person, one wire at a time. Every day they juggled thousands of calls, keeping calm, focused, and always sounding friendly, no matter how stressful it got. But by the 1960s, automatic dialing took over. Machines could now connect calls in seconds, no wires, no waiting, and no one saying, "Connecting you now." Human computer. In the early 1900s, a computer wasn't a machine. It was a person. These human computers, often women, were hired to do long and complex calculations by hand. They worked in labs, universities, and during World War II, in secret military programs. Their math powered everything from missile tests to space missions. The work was slow and stressful. One mistake could ruin months of progress. But by the 1960s, machines became faster and more reliable. Bit by bit, the human computers were replaced by the very technology what they helped to create. Which of these jobs would you most likely to do? Thank you for watching. See you in the next story.